Hello, everyone. I'm Rob Smith of the Smith in the Black channel here, Ticker Talker, and if it's Tuesday, it's the Strat Attack Show. So let's get into the urban assault vehicle and see what's going on. So we got a little smackdown today in the SPY. Outside day, not the end of the world. Everybody's freaking and being like, here's what's going on. So we have an inside month. Anytime you're forming an inside bar, you can expect reversals back and forth, all right? You're like, it's a Trump tweet. It's like, it's not that he tweeted, it's when he did, because last week, he tweeted that he had the virus, and futures went overnight down and then rallied back. The thing about it was that we knew this. Your 60-minute broadening formation to start off the new quarter, the new month, the new week. Like so. Let me redraw that for you. So when you get out of these things, you better stay out. Higher highs, tick-tock, ticky. Lower lows, right? And so once you start coming back through a previous range, you can see why we want the triangles to grow and get bigger. We're still an inside month, so as much as this looks like a huge move, it's nothing, right? It's nothing compared to the huge moves. So what you can see up in here is it started in here. Slight lower low, bottom of the tri, broadening formation, 2-2 reversal. Goes up here. These become an outside bar of all that. And then boom, once you come back through here and hit that 60 and go back red and you're coming back through previous range, boom, we're coming back through all these guys. Now the question is going to finish the job down into here. So if you go down to smaller time frames, lest you forget this, right? Here, the 3 outside bar continuation. So what that means is that not only did the new high get rejected, it's still getting rejected back to previous range, right? And so if you knew that today and you were looking at the SPY, when that occurred, here's your 5-minute. Boom, 3-2. Remind you of anything? Bam, down to the downside, right? And what that causes, in the week, to set up the outside 60, which you got here. And as it comes back to previous range, you're going to stop out all the top starters. You know what I mean. Anyway, coming back through here, tight stoppers, coming back through here, and it wipes them clean, and you get your outside bar. Now, if that works, you can look and get your outside day, which you did, right? So just knowing that stuff can help. So what'll occur when you have a spike in volatility like that, much like we did in March, almost everything's going to look alike. And the reason that's true is because the futures take over. Like any natural buyers, they're getting just jumping out of the way. And there's something called futures cash arbitrage. And what that means is that the futures and cash are only going to get so far apart, but arbitrage tightens up that spread, right? They're not going to let that get too far apart. So everything's going to look like the futures. And so you've got a lot of outside bars. And so once they stabilize, then you'll start to see some natural buyers in certain things, natural sellers in certain things once they stabilize. But you can see even at the end of the day, everything looks similar. The inside bar of the RevStrat into the lows, QQQ. The inside bar of the RevStrat into the lows, the trannies. So a lot of things are just inside bar here. And then you can break it down. SPY, what else do we know? Here, if you look at the 5-minute, it goes up, it triangles them out, it goes 2-1-2 on the 5er and takes them into the lows to stop out all the bottom pickers, right? So do we know that? We totally did. So there's that. So we want to see these things stabilized to the SPY, take that try down, finish the job off on that 60 tomorrow, and then what happens after that, right? Do we keep hitting them or do they recover? Sometimes they just triangle this out here, right? Because you got your slight lower low. So this would be back up through that if you get that. What we do have is, like I said, we want this stuff to stabilize, but we want to see because it's not that the news is what it is, it's how does that react. And so a lot of these things we want to see here. How do the pandemics, guys who are getting no stimulus anytime soon, apparently, RCL and the cruise ships and obviously the airlines, right, the hotels, Marriott, I'll probably put some play for you. All that kind of stuff. How does that react tomorrow on follow through here? And you've got some SMH here. It's not an outside day. So the question is, you get the 2-2 to create the outside day tomorrow and hammer them again. And so that's what we're going to find out. And you've got, a bunch of shooters and stuff in there, KLAC, Texan, Texas Instruments, you know, so we can see what's going on with all of that. So that needs to play out. We need to see them stabilize so we can see what's going after them. On the not so bad just yet, we've got space, SPCE. And obviously we know we've got problems here. You see this? All of this stuff jammed in this bar here. But it is an inside bar coming up, RevStrat month. Here, to start off above 2098, you're still there by 4 cents. I don't know that's not much, but it hasn't negated it as yet. On the weekly, slight higher high on the daily. Here, still a 2 up. So until that proven difference, that monthly's intact. I know it's not by a bunch, but Peloton and Pandemia still going. Still going. Inside day still going. So we'll see if they want to come back and take some profits in Peloton, because anytime you stair step up like this, we know there's a lot of stops in there, right? And you're starting off the new week. So if you can get down through here, you would change the week back red and then be looking to stop these guys out. Or does it just keep cruising along? We're going to find out. BE. And I know we got to go down some of the food chain here, but like I said, a lot of this stuff's just going to look really similar. So until the futures mellow out. So BE, once again, you can see these 2 months are an inside bar of that. And so now you've taken that out. So the question, can you stay up here? Because we know what happens when you don't, right? The good thing for BE so far is you're nowhere near taking today's lows out. So at worst, maybe you go inside day, but you've got those monthlies working for you. SPWR, SunPower, backs off a little bit, but still taking out those highs, and it's still inside month and up, and that tells us to look at stuff like FSLR, still inside month, but green, and so you can see this here, still taking out last week's lows, because we know we've had JKS being strong, we've had all that kind of stuff. How's CSIQ doing? There you go, CSIQ, still having no problems just yet, so we'll see how that comes in. You got OKTA, Okta, does its job. You see this, the RevStrat here, back through the old 3, does its job. So the question is, can it stay up there now that it's done this here? Because it's taking out last month's highs, it's above last week's highs, but you got those higher highs, which potentially hits the broadening formation. If you go to Coop's triangle machine. So we know about this now. Handily inside month. Got to be aware of that. The good thing is when you have the outside then the inside, that means you're still dealing with a broadening formation. Just how do you get out of this, right? Do you keep marching up? And so on that weekly, so far taking out the weekly highs here, still coming up. So we want to see if that can still march through here, or if that reverses right now on the daily. We'll see. It was inside day to the upside. That would be RevStrat downside or continue tomorrow. If we go to GPI gapped up today, but you had your chance earlier because the month, the 2 up, the 2 down, the bam, and into the highs. And so it goes into the highs. You got some exhaustion risk, but that's still in force for now. However, you're going to be disseminating a gap as you sit up in here for a while, so we'll see. If we go to stamps, still a 2 to the upside on the daily and the weekly, and marching back up. And the good thing about stamps is got that monthly shooter hammer 222 continuation, and that's above 255.40. So that's got some nice cushion on it. Even if it does come in for the rest of the month, we want to see how that sets up. There's Etsy here trying to do that too. Hammer counter shooter and trying to take that up. Now this is closer to going 2 down on the day for the compound 3 back through previous range after taking all these guys out. So we'll be aware of that. If you go to Beyond the Meat, 2 on the day, didn't barely flinch very much. And that is a 3-2 to the upside month. Outside month to the upside, much like TTD. So as long as we can hold that, then the rejection to the downside still being rejected to the upside, right, and sticking it to them. But if you get back into that 3, then we'll talk about problems. Right now, they's going. Downside to RH, new month, starts to drop in. Obviously big inside month, but here on the weekly, it's stuck in here. But we want to see here, they triangle day out. What that means is inside, down, RevStrat. But now, if you can take this down, now maybe get some stops down through here, all right, and start working on that daily gap. If you can get down through here, right, they start to really think it's profit-taking time. We'll see. W takes an inside day to the downside today, coming back through this range. Now, it was also doing this on the month, but then fails and comes back in. So the question is, can you retake this to the upside, or is the next two on the weekly here to reject that and go 2-2 back through a previous range? So W could get interesting here too. SPGI, not the end of the world, but it is going after last week's lows, right? So that's anything doing that, something you want to know about. Penn Gaming here, and you can see that trying to take out last week's lows. 3-week inside pattern, we'll be aware of that, but look, we're always looking at, the new quarter, the new month, right? Starting off on the downside, and it's had a mighty run, so we'll see how that goes. But like I said, a lot of things are going to look like the futures until they stabilize, and then once they do, then we can start to see a lot more strength and weakness after that mellows out. So we'll see if we hit that bottom of the broadening formation tomorrow, and then if it gets any worse, or if they try and recover. That's why we play. That's why we play the game every day. All right, that's going to do it for this week. I'm Rob Smith. This is Black Channel here. TikTok Strat Tech Show.